What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of interAXEtion. And on this episode of interAXEtion, we're going to talk about rhythmic phrasing, learning new scales, and doing artist and song lessons. What's going on, everybody? Thanks for checking in again this week. Thanks for leaving your comments and your questions below. Again, I love the discussion that's going on. Keep it coming. Leave your comments and questions down below. And let's jump right into it, alright? First question. I already know tons of fast licks and scale runs and sweep arpeggio type licks. I realize that my solos are lacking the slow, rhythmic, melodic phrasing type licks. I'd like to know what is your advice on how to come up with those kind of licks that I just mentioned. First of all, this is a great question because I see a lot of students and players and even myself struggle with this for a very long time. And because we're so used to just shredding up and down the fretboard or sweeping through, we don't really take the time to express ourselves in a meaningful way with only a very few amount of notes. And that is the first tip. Okay, so at whatever you're playing over, try to come up with an idea that gives you not only gives you the sound of the chord, but again, it comes out as some form of a statement. 3 to 5 notes, very minimal, all right? And then as the chords go by, try to keep that rhythmic motif going all the way through, okay? And that will help you from making runs, right? And doing your crazy sweep picking and all that kind of stuff. You know, and to save that stuff, try to use your long shreds or your sweeps or anything like that. Put that in the boxes like tension, right? Or climax. Okay, so you can say something and then say something again and then say something again and then shred. Alright? Hopefully that helps a lot. And then obviously, you know, work on rhythmic subdivisions and all that kind of stuff. Having that command as well will be really nice when you go from just a short melodic phrase to a longer melodic phrase as well. And then try to place those rhythmic ideas in different parts of the measure. Don't always do it on the downbeat of 1. Right? Start on the upbeat of 2. Let your melody carry over a bar line. Stuff like that. And that will really kind of open up your expression. Cool. Next question. I recently have been teaching myself more jazz theory after a long while of relying on the 7 major modes. I've discovered different types of modes like melodic minor, altered scales, bebop, and exotic scales. But when I play these scales, they just don't sound right to my ear. Do you have any tips on how I can apply these modes to my playing? This is another really good question, and for those of you who are not familiar with, say, melodic minor, the first time you play through that scale, when you just play it up and down, it might not sound the way you want it to or the way you're used to, because some of the harmonies that are going on, especially when you get off of the root or the wand of melodic minor, and you start looking at some of the modes of melodic minor, like the altered scale or the super Locrian scale, right? Playing that scale up and down doesn't really sound musical. And when you look at the melodic minor scale in like a chord scale format, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, those chords don't really blend together, and they don't give you the forward momentum like the major scale does. So, and that's because they behave differently, and you have to apply them as such. So you have to realize to pick one of the modes for melodic minor, albeit the super Locrian or melodic minor or the Lydian dominant, and realize what that mode is, or realize what chord that mode is outlining, and then you can apply it to that chord. Alright? And then when you do, you don't just run up and down the scale. You want to emphasize the chord notes that you're playing, and then emphasize the color notes that the mode is giving you. Okay? That's the best way to do it. Instead of just doing scale runs, pick out chord tones and then some of the altered tones that you find in relation to that chord. And that usually comes out as the most musical. Because when you start looking at players that use these kind of scales, they don't do like shred runs using these scales. A lot of times they're playing melodically and they're picking and choosing their notes wisely. So hopefully that helps a lot. Okay? Cool. Next question. Excellent as always. I know we were all obsessed with Tool fans on this channel. However, I'm wondering if you've ever been a fan of Wes Borland from Limp Bizkit. He has some very mysterious sounding clean parts that really stuck with me as an 8-year-old back in the day, and they're still catchy. It would be cool to see if you can cover Wes Borland Style. First of all, there's a couple things that I want to talk about on this question that I want to address on this channel in general. But first of all, I was always a big fan of Wes Borland. All right, he wrote great riffs, and like you said, his clean parts were great. He was super creative. All right, I was definitely into like the first Limp Bizkit album, and then they just blew up, and Fred Durst was terrible, and they just went downhill really fast. But Wes was always like for me, the creative driving force of that band, and big influence on my playing around that time. That being said, and this is going to be going in general because I get tons of questions. Hey, can you do a lesson on this guy? Can you do a lesson on this band? Can you do a lesson on A Perfect Circle? Can you do a lesson on Mastodon? Can you do a lesson on Wes Borland? Can you do a lesson on Rob Flynn from Machine Head? I get this stuff all the time. And honestly, guys, I mean, this is just honest. I'm afraid to do that because I don't want to open up Pandora's box. And I'm trying to speak to you from, my heart here. When I started this channel, it was never my intention to do artist covers and cover songs and stuff like that, or introspectives into a player's style. All right, the Tool stuff just kind of happened, right? When I first moved out to San Diego, the band I was in New York kind of fell apart, and I was looking for something out here, and I found some guys like, hey, we're jamming on some Tool songs. You want to come do that with us? And I was like, yeah, I'll do that. It gives me something to do. I just moved out here, and because of that, I had to learn 2 hours of Tool music. So I put it to use and I made videos with it. And obviously Jones was a big impact on my playing, but again, it was never my intention to teach everybody all that kind of stuff, and you guys responded overwhelmingly up for it, so I just continued doing it. That being said, I barely have enough time in the day to practice my own guitar, let alone delve into somebody's music and style enough to do it the way, to do it the way I'd want to do it, to do it justice. I can easily scrape together a half-assed lesson that you'd find in some guitar magazine about somebody's style that really doesn't do anything. You cherry pick a riff here and there, and then you talk about it, like, this is how you sound like this person. It's like, I don't want to do that. And like I said, I barely have enough time to practice, let alone learn all of this other music, right? You guys talk about Periphery. I would love to break down some Periphery songs, but those songs are hard, and there's 3 guitars, and I don't have time to learn all of that stuff as much as I would love to sit down and learn a lot of it, because it's great and it's inspirational. So that being said, I don't know if I'm going to start doing like cover songs, or maybe a song from this band, maybe once a month kind of thing. Maybe it's something I like to work to because I know you guys want me to do that. So I'll definitely keep that in mind, but that's why I haven't, and I just wanted to share that with you. All right, so keep sending me requests. It's inspirational, and I want to see what you guys want to learn. All right, so that does it for this week's interaction. Again, I love your questions, and I love the discussion that's going on. Leave it down below in the comment section, and as always, let me know what you come up with. Until then, I'll see you next time. Thanks a lot.